He walked out from the busted lander and saw the smoke rise like a thin gray river into the night sky. He was alone, and he was not afraid. He had a name that the stars might forget, yet the ground would remember. Caleb moved slow to spare his breath, and listened to the wind. From the dunes came soft lights and voices like bells and water shapes, gathered in a half circle around him, not soldiers and not raiders. He saw tall figures with pale skin that shimmered under the moon's feathered crests, folded against long necks and eyes bright as a winter dawn. This was the tribe that travelers called the Skykinkalub. Lifted his empty hands, kept them open and wide so the tribe could see. He meant no harm. He spoke in calm words and simple sounds. He said he was lost. He said he needed water and shelter. He said he would share what he knew and return. The tribe led him to a canyon where blue vines hung like curtains. Light bloomed from the vines, as if the plant held tiny stars children ran at. He sighed and touched his boots and laughed at the rough fabric. Old ones watched with the patience of stone-thie. Gave him a small tent woven from silk that tasted of salt and rain. He gave them a heater and taught them how to use it. He drew maps in the sand and marked safe paths. He showed them a signal that could call traders to the Plateau Knights. Passed like birds in flight, Caleb worked with the tribe and learned. For signs he learned to kneel before the water stones that rippled with life. He learned the song that called cloudfish to the cliff edge. He learned the rule that all are kin under open. Dawn. The lights on the horizon were not soft. They were cruel lights that cut the dark like knives. Metal hunters came on skimmers. With hard engines and greedy eyes, raiders wanted the water stones and the silk and the vines and the people tribe. It's made no war in their long history. They had no walls but trust, and no army but courage. Caleb saw fear move across the camp like a cold wind. He felt it brush the children and the old ones, and he knew he could not stand. Azadee walked to the ridge and studied the land. He saw the narrow bend of the canyon where sand turned to glass. He saw the roots of the skimmers and the blind spots of their lights. He saw the places where the wind carved hollows just big enough for a person to hit. He spoke to the tribe in slow words and clear hands. He said, the raiders will come at noon when the vines go dim. He said, we will split the camp into small teams. He said, the old ones will cross the river stone with the children and wait in the blue caves. He said, the rest will lead the raiders into the canyon where the ground is. Our Elithri women stepped forward to stand with him. They were not warriors by name, yet power rested on their shoulders like a cloak. Kept the stories of the tribe and carried a staff that hummed with hidden charge. Her voice could shape how people saw the world, and her memory held the paths of storms. Megan was a maker who coaxed light from plant and stone. She worked with the vines and knew how to wake their glow or put them to sleep. Her hands were quick and patient, and she saw patterns where others saw. Mesbrook walked the high ledges and spoke to the cloudfish. She moved like a shadow and balanced on air. Her eyes found motion in the dark, and her feet did not fear the narrow path. Caleb bowed to them and asked for their trust. Lily said, the people will move if you ask with respect. Megan said, the vines will listen if you ask with care. Brooke said, the sky will watch if you ask with courage. Noon. The raiders swept in with anger like fire. Caleb raised a flare and dropped it into the sand where the glass lay thin. Heat rushed up and turned the surface to a mirror. Engine screamed a skimmer. Fins lost grip and slid. Raiders spun and cursed in their helmets and aimed their rifles. Lee stood on the ridge and lifted her staff. Hum rose and rolled across the canyon like thunder without sound. Her voice carried a tale of a land that bites steel and spits it back. Those who heard it looked at the sand and saw danger in every glitter. They hesitated and their lines broke. Megan ran along the vine walls and touched each coil. In turn, light woke and went dark in a new rhythm. Like a heartbeat, shadows danced and made the canyon look deeper than it was. Raiders judged the depth and failed. They slowed and tried to find safe ground, and the path twisted under there. Icebrook led a team along the cliff edge. She whistled, and the cloudfish drifted low and wide when they flashed their fins. The air bent and turned the raider shots. A stray bolt split and vanished into the high blue. Caleb moved among the rocks and set small decoys that copied the sound of engines. He tossed them ahead and behind and made the raiders chase ghosts. He kept his body low and his breath slow and his mind steady. When a group closed in, he slid down a hidden chute he had dug. At dawn, and came up behind Them's tribe, followed his signs with grace lines of people, crossed the river stone with the children and the old ones. Others lured the raiders deeper into the glass bend. Traps were simple and kind to the land ropes. A vine that caught legs, soft nets that fell from ledges' heat. Stones that opened like flowers and filled the air with shimmer that messed with amby dusk. The raiders were tired and scattered engines clogged with glass dust and nerves frayed by. Echoes and Light, their leader, tried to gather them and shouted to retreat, lifted her staff again, and spoke a new tale she told of a gate that closes when the sun kisses. The rim she told of a toll the land takes from trespass. Her story walked into their minds and made them see a terrible Dormigan sent one last pulse down the vine's light rippled like a falling river and washed over the raiders for a breath. They could not tell up from downbrook, and Caleb moved as one. They cut the leader from his guards and took his weapon and tossed it into the mirror. Sand cloud fish circled like lanterns in water, and the raiders saw that the tribe and their friend had the high ground, and the hearth raiders fled slants, came to the canyon. Like a soft blanket, children climbed from the blue caves and ran to their families. Old ones walked out with slow smiles. Tribe built a circle of lights under the twin moons. Songs rose with the steam of sweet tea and the smell of grilled root and fruit. Caleb sat with his back to a warm stone and let his bones rest. Elders spoke, and the people listened. They said the tribe lives because the stranger chose to stand. They said the land answered because courage asked first. They said gifts should follow deeds that honor kinley. Megan and Brooke stood before Caleb with hands open. All three were different as dawn, noon, and dusk. All three were strong in mind and will. All three had chosen. The elders said, our tribe thanks you. Our law says a friend who defends us may join our family by bond. These three will walk with you, and you will walk with them, not as things to own, but as partners in life and in work. Our word is clear. Caleb felt the heat of the stone and the weight of the moment. He looked at Lily, who held history like a lantern. He looked at Megan, who held making like a promise. He looked at Brooke, who held sky like a path. He bowed and said he would honor their choice and share his path with respect. And Corate dawn. The new circle set out across the plateau. Cloudfish drifted above like slow birds. The blue vine slept, and the canyon shone with a soft glow. Carried little and shared much. Lily taught Caleb the long memory of the land. She showed him where storms were born and where they slept. She taught him how a story could shape choices and calm fear. Megan taught Caleb the language of light. She showed him how to wake a seed in dry soil and how to cool a hot stone. She taught him how to ask a tool to do its best without harm. Brooke taught Caleb the quiet walk. She showed him how to place a foot so the ground would not complain. She taught him how to see wind by what it touched and how to ride it with trust. Together, they found a ridge where new vines could grow. They set mirrors to collect dawn and nets to gather mist. Water stones sang under their hands, and a spring open. Traders came and saw the safe paths in fair terms. No raider dared return because the land now had eyes and stories. And light on its Sidethi tribe grew strong, and stayed. Kind children learned to map the sky, and to fix heaters, and to listen to the songs of cloudfish. Old ones learned to rest without worry, and to tell new tales at night. Caleb built a small house of woven silk and warm stone, not a castle, not a fort, just a home with a door open to friendly set a shelf of memory. There she kept the first map he drew the day he arrived, and a feather shed by a cloudfish, and a shard of glass from the mirror. Ben Megan set a bench of making there. She kept tools and seeds and a box of glow dust for when the vines were. Shy Brooke set a rack of ropes and gliders. There she kept the wind readers and the hooks that sang when a storm was near at night. They sat together and spoke in simple words. No one needed grand speech. No one needed heavy. Crownsley spoke of small things that make a large life. A child who learned a new song and could not stop smiling. A vine that bloomed early and leaned toward the house. A cloudfish that kept coming back to circle the door like a pet with wings. Sometimes they spoke of the day of fire, not to glory in danger, but to keep the lesson bright, that courage with respect is stronger than cruelty with steel, that skill with kindness is sharper than a blade. Eons rolled on moons changed places. Storms came and passed there. Home became a place where travelers stopped to trade news and rest feet. Caleb would help fix a cracked hull. Lily would send a traveler on the right road with a story to guide them. Megan would heal a tired engine with light brook, show how to find the safe wind on the high trail.